Welcome to Bookworms. This is the podcast where we read a book and then talk about that book. This is a bonus episode, and with me today is Becky. No Alex. Apparently this book is so terrible I couldn't get anyone to read it, not even Becky.
Nope. I do just have to qualify. Aren't most podcasts about books where you read the book and then you talk about them? Sorry. It's been a long day for Joe. He's had to put up with me.
Yeah, it's difficult putting up with Becky. She is just very demanding. And at this time of recording, I'm still training for a second half marathon. So I did my distance run for that today. So yeah, I'm a little tired.
Everyone makes choices.
Some of us are better at making choices than others, is what you're saying?
I did not say that. Don't put words in my mouth.
You implied it.
I'm just saying I have a cookie and you got nothing.
Already had a cookie. Anyways, we're here to talk about a book that's so terrible. Alex refused to read it. Becky refused to read it. Alex refused to even be a part of the podcast. It has nothing to do with him being busy. That's just his lame excuse that he came up with.
Okay, to be fair, I don't know if this one is horrible. I just refused to read it because the first one was. So I was making an educated guess.
A likely story. So the book I read is the long-anticipated book that we promised. The Butcher Game by Dr. Is she a doctor? No, she's not a doctor. By Alaina Urquhart.
Maybe she's a doctor now. I don't know.
I don't think so. And yeah, it is.
Woohoo! Right?
It is something.
Is it going to be a great Netflix show?
No.
Oh, man.
I'll give her credit where credit's due. There are areas that are actually almost readable in this, where the first one really there wasn't, where you could read like 10 pages without wanting to chuck the book across the room, and it actually had a little bit of flow. And then she'd do what she always did and ruin it with something just obnoxiously glaring. And
by calling them counties instead of parishes.
Well, she did try to take our advice and move it out of a place that she's clearly never been and knows nothing about.
I know, she sent it to Massachusetts, didn't she?
Yes. Unfortunately, she did not send it to Eastern Massachusetts, where he actually knows about. And she sent it to Western Massachusetts, where you can tell she's visited, but actually knows very little about.
Oh, man.
Out in the Berkshires. So let's get into it. Unless if you have a question off the bat, Becky.
I do, because I don't know if I need to know this one before we get started. So we know that homegirl is named Ren.
Yes.
And his name is Jeremy.
Yes.
And so in the first book, they already had history. And then the first book brings their past to the present. And so this book is bringing both of those lines to the even more present, right?
Yes. So the first book had two timelines. They did the trope of having multiple timelines without telling you there's different timelines. So you think you're reading something incongruent, then you find out that it's separated by like 5 years. Because Ren is not her real name. It's her made-up name because Jeremy had kidnapped and tortured her and tried to kill her before, and so we're reading that, not realizing we're reading that because I forget what her real name is or her given name. Anyways, they finally, those timelines converge. Big discovery that it's two different timelines, sloppily put together, and they have the big confrontation where Jeremy escapes.
Yeah, out of his house.
Out of his house, yeah. And this book starts 2 weeks later.
Okay, so then here's the actual question. How does Ren's history with Jeremy influence the decisions that you're going to tell me about that she makes?
Well, it's difficult because I think Alaina forgot some of the facts of her story because I'm pretty sure she changed some of the history on us.
Whoops.
Which I commented a few times. I'm like, yeah, I could be wrong. I didn't go back and double check because that was way beyond more than something more I was going to do. But yes, there are some things that how she reacts could, I guess, make sense with their history. But a lot of it's just moving the plot forward or something to write about. So yeah, anything else?
Is anything going to be exciting? Like, is there an ethical line someone's going to cross and then almost gets like into the Hannibal Lecter type headspace?
No.
Oh man. Okay.
That would have taken some skill, and I'll at the end I'll have some thoughts to on what I think should be for the future books. But we're gonna start off with the prologue. I'm gonna read the opening here. You remember the first book? The opening was so bad that we had a little competition, me, you, and Alex, on who could write a better opening or worst opening, and me and you took the worst opening, and Alex tried to write something better. When we're like, that's such a low bar. It was much harder. Well, here's the opening 3 sentences. The manhunt for suspected serial killer Jeremy Rose has become a nationwide search. Authorities in Louisiana believe Rose may have left the state, and they are working with local authorities in Mississippi, Arkansas, and now Texas to locate him. The breaking news sounds mundane when delivered with the anchor's standard broadcasting lilt. So, yeah.
What news does she watch? I'm sorry. Every newscaster is going to have some oomph behind that sentence.
It's not even her listening to it. It's some other character named Philip, which we briefly met in the first book on a phone call because he is connected with Jeremy, knew Jeremy when they were young children. And it's just showing that Philip is going to be a bigger part of this story than the first. It doesn't actually give you any sort of like intriguing information. It's just basically a
also though
recap.
As a Midwesterner, I'm already insulted because that's the accent that they try and get. They try and get like middle of the country.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they did.
No, they don't. Because otherwise they'd all be talking like Minnesotans.
Minnesota is not just the Midwest. It is the Upper Plains, all right? Get your...
No, they try to talk in a neutral East Atlantic.
They try to talk like they're from Ohio, which is in the Midwest.
Barely.
Nobody wants to claim that state.
No. Why would you?
All right, so we have Philip.
Yeah, and basically, Philip is a preacher with a wife and child and a wandering eye, and he was friends with Jeremy when they were children, and they grew up, I think, in the bayou, because that's where Jeremy grew up, but this is where it gets kind of hazy, because apparently Philip travels to the Berkshires every year as a kid to the family home, but then it's just like he always lives out there, and then it's like, well, how did they actually know each other? Because someone from the bayou is...
Well, yeah, I thought the house where he was, that was his childhood home, because he would go in the basement and remember how his mom used to do horrible things to his private parts.
Yeah, but the thing was Philip supposedly grew up with him, but then his dad is a big-time judge in Western Mass, and all the cops know him. So he was always able to get away with the petty crime stuff and just let it be buried. So it's
oh my God.
The plot holes start quick and speed up as we go along.
I don't want to do this. We're only on page 1.
It's not even page 1 technically. We're in page...
Oh, it's like that XXII one. Oh
yeah, we're in Roman numeral territory. This is literally the recap.
Do I have any cast iron I need to scrub?
So I'm going to give you the opening 3 sentences
to
chapter 1.
Opening.
Yeah, the official opening. Ren wears the darkness like a straitjacket. It confines and suffocates without mercy. She struggles to claw through it, but its purpose is set in permanence. The more she fights, the more it refuses to relent.
You're telling me you're not showing me, honey. Please stop.
Not even that. It's just, it sounds cheesy. It's so corny. So corny.
It also makes me... Does Ren not enjoy her darkness?
I don't... Well, no, because she has nightmares now because of the second time that Jeremy almost tried to kill her.
I mean, to be fair, I would probably have nightmares too. But you could still have darkness in you and not feel like it's a straitjacket.
I don't know what to say. This is just...
Or maybe a straitjacket is comforting because it's close. It's like a warm hug. We're only on page 1. Alex, you're so mean.
Well, so my next note is on page 2.
Oh, no.
And I believe that... Let's see. My exact quote: "Stop it with the fucking adverbs."
Oh, man.
I think that page alone, she said suddenly 3 or 4 times on page 2 alone.
Okay. After reading your papers, just gotta be nice. Be nice to somebody who repeats themselves.
But that is a rough draft. This is a published novel where supposedly a team of editors have gone over it with a fine-tooth comb and said, change some verbiage up.
Oh, man.
And the story is told in first-person present, which is just... but every once in a while, she slips out of first-person present and falls into past past tense.
I'm going to need more than a cookie after this.
So I told you to eat the cookie before because, we're
My
we're already
reward.
12 minutes in and we're only on page 2.
Oh my god. Okay, I'll stop talking.
But yeah, so Ren's having nightmares. She can't sleep. She's not at work because she's trying to recover. She doesn't really want to go to therapy because it worked so well the first time that she doesn't want to do it again. I mean, she was basically recovered from the first one. Yeah, it took years, but she already has most of the groundwork laid out, so it should just be going back to your therapist and saying,
we're trying a different form. Art therapy, equine therapy, like...
Yeah,
Anyway,
but
okay.
so we're not starting off good, and we're going nowhere fast. She's convinced that he's going to set up camp somewhere and try to taunt her and get her to like basically she already knows that he's going to taunt her and make her come out to get him. How she knows that? Don't know. She just knows because she knows everything.
She's magic.
Let's see what else we got here. So she, another thing, the chapters, this was a major mistake. So you know how the first book, the chapters swap back and forth between Ren and Jeremy? We'd follow that same format. And so every even chapter is Jeremy. And quite frankly, we don't need that many chapters on Jeremy. Like, we just don't. Jeremy should not be half this book. Granted, she improved the writing on Jeremy quite a bit. He's no longer a simpering idiot. I mean, he's not brilliant by any stretch of the imagination. He's no Hannibal Lecter. He's no, this is going to be quite the adventure chasing after this guy multiple books. And spoiler alert, he is going to be back in book 3.
Dear.
She's already set that up. It's like,
Oh.
yeah, I did.
I need a Starbucks.
Do they stay open this late?
Yes, they're open till 9.
Okay, well, I'll be sure to keep you here till 8:55. Then we'll call it the show.
You have to edit it, not me. So that's all. That's a you thing.
Anyways, so we're jumping back and forth between Ren and Jeremy.
But they don't go into the past again.
No, I mean the
Okay.
timelines don't quite line up, and
Okay.
it's kind of annoying because you don't really know how much the split is, but Jeremy's going to basically go on a killing spree. He's going to pull a not quite a Ted Bundy where he just goes into a sorority house and kill a bunch of people at once because he goes off the rails. It's much more meticulous. Maybe more is it Edward Kemper? I think she was kind of going for more of a Kemper style-esque thing on this one. That doesn't line up 1-to-1 by any stretch, especially since Jeremy's mother is already dead from before book 1, so he can't.
Fuck her head.
Yeah, pretty much. And she made sure to make sure none of these killings were
On the page?
No, they were on the page.
Oh.
Where are they on the page? But none of them are sexual. There's which was weird because the first one, he never physically raped anybody, but there was that sexual tension that he was getting off on. This one is just kind of it's not there. He's completely changed his psychosis. but yeah, so we chapter 2, we jump to Jeremy. The chapters are fairly short. Thankfully, it's a relatively short book, and it reads fairly quickly. That's one strength to it. You can get through this really fast. Like, Becky, you probably could have read this in half a day, just blowing through it.
But I would have wasted half a day.
But we go to Jeremy, and he is driving north and east, trying to put as much distance between himself and Louisiana. He goes to a bar, starts listening into the people, and this is where I started questioning something, and it gets even more so later, but we'll jump into it now. How old do you think Jeremy is?
You're going to tell me that he's some very young number, aren't you?
Well, so in the first book, when he first attacked Ren, they were in grad school together, but he was a little bit older than her. Like she had just continued schooling to become a doctor.
So she's 25 and he was 30.
Yeah.
In the first book.
Okay.
So then, when they jumped to the present timeline in the first book, it was 10 years?
5 to 10 years, yeah. So
okay, so putting him at 40.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah. So he's going to these bars, and so you don't so much notice it this one, but he finds someone that looks close enough to just like him that he could steal their identity. So he comes up with this whole rigmarole that he's trying to get. I think he's somewhere in New York or Pennsylvania at this point. this whole rigmarole about, pretending to be on the phone and his supposed wife is having a baby in the house and he has to get there real quick because she wants to have an at-home birth, and just really weird story, and gets this guy to make him feel bad to give him a ride, and then he picks out a random house that no one's living at and he murders the guy in his truck. And we get into quite a bit of detail on how he does this, like step by step, blow by blow.
Okay.
Just murdering this guy that looks just like him. Of course, I'm thinking, the way this is describing it, this guy's late 20s, early 30s. That peak age of you're still going to the bar, but you're not really connected to anybody yet. Like long-term partner or anything.
I don't know what that's like, but okay.
But for most millennials will know what we're talking about here, especially in the Gen Zers will know. I mean, Becky doesn't, and most boomers probably don't.
What's a bar? Okay, so he goes to this bar that is states away from Louisiana.
Yes.
But they're running this story of him?
No, not at the bar.
Okay.
No. He's coming up with this story of I need to get home to my wife who's having a baby.
No, sorry, because you had said he was watching like the news or whatever.
No, that's Philip in the prologue.
Okay, there we go. I'll figure it out.
So we jump back to Ren, and the Ren chapters are so bad because like usually when I was saying, some points there's like 10 pages where you can read. They're almost all Jeremy chapters. It's where you can just kind of read 10 pages and you realize, oh shoot, I just read 10 pages and it was actually almost in the story, like it was actually like flowing. Wow. None of the Ren chapters, or maybe one or two of them. And it said there's a lot of chapters. These chapters are relatively short, but there's only a couple of chapters where it's just not like, what is the point of this?
Could maybe it be for this book, her chapters are like that to make her unreliable due to her trauma and refusal to go to therapy?
No, because she
I'm trying here.
Because she just becomes like, she has this trauma, but then it's like when they finally get a hint that, Jeremy's in Massachusetts, she's like, well, I gotta go. I gotta be a badass bitch and just go and do my job.
Out of your jurisdiction. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. We're gonna get there. Oh, don't worry. I got thoughts.
Oh man, I can see you have your pages like marked. You have like 50 pages for this book. Yeah,
it's bad. I really tried. By the end of it, I took a lot less notes because I'm just like, everything I have want to complain about, I've already talked about like 2-3 times, so there's really no point. So we go back to Ren. LaRue is trying to get her to do something other than just stew in her house with her husband Richard the whole time. Richard does play a much larger role in this. I remember the first time we kind of complained, why have a husband when he just doesn't hardly exist other than to say she has a husband. Well, this one he's there. He's very understanding, which I thought was weird because my understanding was in the first book he didn't know about any of her past, that she
That's what I thought.
But he's just taking this in stride. It's very much Alaina's real life husband, John, who's a lawyer. This guy's apparently just
very chill,
kind of lawyery. She's definitely basing it off her real life husband. It is what it is. No big deal. But just like this girl was literally kidnapped, tortured, and tempted to be killed. And then on top of it, you find out that not only had Jeremy been in her house, she has a different name that you didn't know about, and this guy had already done this once before to her. But yeah, so they're just like, don't know anything. We gotta, it's gonna be okay. Well, LaRue basically wants to take Ren to Jeremy's house because he thinks that's gonna help her, making her face her fear of his house in the middle of the swamp. And this, I'm probably smushing a bunch of chapters together here, because it's not worth going chapter by chapter in this. But basically, he convinces her to go to the house after a bunch of pointless meetings and her wandering around town. And it's just like, her putting it off by going to the donut shop and eating a donut and almost ignoring LaRue's call, but then not. So she goes to his house and they go in and the place is crammed full with plants. Like he had a whole, indoor garden kind of thing. Like it's just all these weird plants and they're all dying because no one's watering them except for this one. I don't think I wrote it down, but it's something about to do with Boston. It's like the Boston lily or some stupid thing like that. The Boston fern is what it was. It's a fern. But yeah, it's one of the few plants that can handle the humidity apparently without being watered. And it's the only plant that's alive. And it's just like, why would Jeremy have that plant of all plants, and that's the only one that lives, kind of thing. But Ren ends up having a kind of a flashback of being tortured as she's at the house and freaks out and basically kind of wanders into the swamp, and Leroux has to go grab her and say, hey, what the hell are you doing? And she ends up taking this fern home with her.
What? Oh my God. No, because that fern was not given Beyonce lyrics. That fern was given Ed Kemper's prison tapes. You don't take that shit home with you.
So let's hop back to Jeremy. He's just murdered this random guy so he could steal his identity and his truck. Again, guy that grew up in the bayou. I know you probably don't know anyone from personally from Louisiana, right?
I do.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Do they have an accent?
Yeah.
Do you think they could just not have that accent and fake a Pennsylvanian or New York accent, even if they spent time occasionally in Western Massachusetts in summers, a month or two at a time as a child?
Because they do. They've done that kind of.
So in the Louisiana accent, it's kind of distinguishable. You know it's
especially in that part where they were.
Yeah, near New Orleans.
Yeah, I don't know about northern Louisiana if it's going to have that same twang.
But they're in the bayou, and Jeremy is essentially, she writes it white trash, so he's not exactly highly educated, supposedly, or super. He's smart enough that he was able to somehow weasel into some sort of medical class, doctor class, but
he's gotten away twice.
Yeah, he's gone away twice. But remember, in the first book, he was just, basically one level above a moron when it comes to, his passions and his feelings. So he kills this guy in this random driveway that he just deduced that the house was going to be empty, no one there. Drags the guy off into the woods. So he just murdered this guy in his own truck with a knife.
Oh, it's messy.
Yeah. He drags this guy off into the woods and just stumbles into someone else's killing area. Another serial killer had a shitty shack out in the woods.
Oh my gosh, it's the New England killer that was going around last year.
With a bucket full of human parts rotting and mason jars full of different body parts.
Oh, man.
And Jeremy's just admiring the work as he shoves this dead young man into a hole and putting a rock over him. And then he just kind of walks away like, yeah, saw that.
But that's the story, because as the other serial killer would be like, who the hell is on my stomping grounds?
Exactly. It's like, it never gets brought up again. Never. Like, doesn't exist. Oh. So Jeremy somehow cleans everything up that night and finishes driving to Western Massachusetts, to find Philip. But he doesn't talk to Philip immediately. He decides that...
Of course not.
He decides he wants to do some hunting first.
Oh.
So he stops at a random book store to look up and buys a book of... little known New England historical sites, like
all of them.
It's like just kind of the stuff that's just in the middle of the woods that the locals all know about, but nobody.
There's a stone marker every mile, and nobody pays attention to it here.
So he goes. He's like, oh, I know where one of these places is here in the Berkshires, and goes out there, and there's this big field with like a Stonehenge-esque feel to it, with some fallen over stone. Makeshift stuff, and he has his little handheld crossbow that he had in the first book, which I thought he had dropped because that would have been hard to run with. Anyway, so he has one of these crossbows, and I don't think Alaina knows how a crossbow works. I think she watched like Van Helsing. Remember that movie?
I don't think I ever actually saw that. No, maybe I did.
So you know how some of these fantasy movies have those little mini crossbows, and they treat them like 6-shooters or semi-automatic guns, where they can just shoot a bunch of arrows really fast.
Yeah, but that's not real.
Yeah, well, this guy's shooting arrows like a 6-shooter out of his little handheld crossbow. So it's the end of the day. He sees these two young people, boy and a girl, probably like 18 to 20, and he's all pissed off because they're Instagram or TikTok influencers, and they're doing all the stupid poses to make it seem like they're these really awesome people, and really they're bickering the whole time, and not more narcissistic than actually into each other. But they realize that their whole product is needing the other one in this faux perfect couple thing. And it's getting dark, and he's like, these are the ones they need to go. They're ruining this whole scenery.
Oh my.
So they're kind of bickering, and he shoots a bolt at them, and he misses. And the guy thinks, what was that? Was that a bat? It just flew right past my face. And then he shoots again and hits the girl right in the throat. So the guy is freaking out as he's watching her bleed out. And all of a sudden he realizes, hey, shit, someone's shooting crossbow at us. And he starts running, but he doesn't run in the right direction to get out. And Jeremy starts stalking him. At this point, it's super dark, and because he runs into the woods instead of straight to the parking lot. Which the whole thing is really confusing because it's like the way he's saying is to go through the field, it's further to get to the parking lot. You have to go through the woods, which is quicker. But then we find out there's a third way, which is through a field to get to the parking lot.
Over the river and through the woods.
It's like so. Jeremy's stalking this guy. He's running. He's tripping over stuff in the woods. Jeremy's got his night vision goggles on. Shoots a third bolt. Misses again. Shoots a fourth bolt and hits him in the leg. And then Jeremy slowly tortures and kills him. And we get all this psycho babble about what's going through his, what he's saying through his head about. It basically sounds like a psychiatrist or a psychologist with the voice in his head running through all, analyzing all of his feelings.
Now, which part of the Berkshires are we in right now? The northern or the southern?
I'm not quite sure. She gave the town, I think it's Great Barrington.
Oh, what? Oh, because, okay. So, well, you've been out there.
Yes, I have.
Northern Berkshire County is, how do we say, not wealthy. Southern Berkshire County, on the other hand, Great Barrington, part of that, people go missing, people are going to immediately spring into action.
Yes.
Because they are wealthy.
Yes.
Somebody did not do his homework.
So he tortures the boy, kills him, goes back to the girl, carves a symbol into her wrist to make, you're thinking he's going to, he's going, they're going to cause satanic panic here and and.
Oh, sweetie. No.
And then he just kind of leaves. I'm like, dude, you got, I don't know if you've ever shot a bow and lost the arrow.
No, you won't let me.
But I mean, when you said you shot bows in the past, like shooting at hay bales and whatnot, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
In Girl Scouts.
Yeah, we had to go get them.
But say you overshot the hay bales. Did you ever do that and had to find the arrow?
Yeah, and the behind the target was this wild mass of brambles and angst.
How hard was it to find those arrows?
I would have just paid the $20 to get a new frickin' arrow, but I wasn't allowed.
Yeah, and I've done my fair share of shooting with a bow and lost the arrows, and they're hard to find. Now imagine a crossbow bolt, which your standard bolt is shorter than an arrow by about half to a third, less length. So my arrows are about 2 feet long. You're talking a foot to 18 inches. This thing is a handheld crossbow, mind you. So the bolts are probably under a foot.
Sorry, all I can think of right now is Buffy has one. And she walks around with it every once in a while,
And it never actually kills anything with it.
Yes, she does.
Does she? Usually, I thought I just got kicked out of her hand after she shoots wildly, and it's just one of those things to have a prop in her hand so she can then have a fist fight.
She usually gets one shot, and then it's.
Well, it takes to shoot another arrow. It's basically 3 to 5 seconds if you're not really caring about your aim, because it's just pull it out of the bolt. Out of the quiver, draw, shoot. A crossbow, you have to pull that string back and lock it in first, place a bolt in, and then you can shoot. It takes closer to 10 to 15 seconds. So that's why I'm saying, like Buffy, she gets one shot. Jeremy, who is trying to do all this stuff, is using a 6-shooter pretty much. And on top of it, I said 2 of his bolts missed. They're just out there in the woods or the field. And you're telling me that the cops who are going to investigate this murder site aren't going to be like, because he tore out the 2 bolts that hit their targets and took them home, cleaned them, take them home. He never, in the dark, trying to find those 2 bolts that he missed with, impossible. You know what's going to find those bolts? The cops. Because they're going to be walking every inch of that crime scene, and they're going to say, hey, it looks like someone got shot with an arrow or a bolt, and here's a bolt. Okay, great. No, there's no blood on it, so this idiot missed and reloaded and shot at least a couple more times. So anyway, so we get jumping back to Ren and LaRue, and again they're just there's literally nothing going on here. And she's going, I have to go find him. I'm never going to have peace until I find him. And then a friend calls her from Massachusetts named Corin. And we're treated like we've known Corin our whole lives, from the previous book. Because maybe she was mentioned, I couldn't tell you. But she is a cop from Central or Eastern Mass. Says, hey, I got something up here that looks like your killer. Could be a copycat. I don't know. It's been all over the news, so you get all these crazy people. But there's this young woman that fits the bill that got murdered. Okay, well, I'll go out there and check it out. So her and LaRue and Richard, her husband, hop on a plane and head out.
Across jurisdictional lines.
LaRue's just like, oh, I got time I can take off. I can just, I got a bunch of time due to me. And I'm just going to go out there and start solving these crimes. And of course, so we're following Jeremy, and there's nothing about a girl that matches this location or description. So it's like, I'm looking at it, it's like, what the hell's going on? Then we jump back to Jeremy, and he's stalking another victim in a bar in Great Barrington. Apparently there's an abandoned amusement park in the middle of town that's all fenced off. That's big enough and kind of like the one in York there.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's got amusement rides and all that stuff. And apparently, we get all this backstory about how him and Jeremy and Philip as kids would always climb the water tower and drink beers and all that stuff. And it's just like, none of it's really making sense. And it's like they're making it sound like this is a big complex where he can have all of his fun, do the Edward Kemper hunting a victim down as they're running away. So he's in this bar and he's eavesdropping on all these tables, and there's this one table full of women, and he's listening to them, and he's picked out the one he wants. So he's watching them, and at one point the girls are like, okay, we're gonna all go to the bathroom except for this one girl, and she stays at the table. And I'm like, or they're all gonna go dance or something stupid. So Jeremy calls the bartender over, but remember, this guy's been here for hours at this point. Says to the bartender, I want to buy that girl a drink. And of course, the bartender's like, you're kind of creeping me out here. You're not from here. She's a local. We all know her. She's barely 21. And he's like, so he cards Jeremy. Like, and I'm like, why would you card him? And then to test him to see if it's a real ID, he's like, what's your birthday? And Jeremy's like, oh, thank God I memorized that, and spits it out. Remember, he's stolen the. Now, remember, we're saying Jeremy's late 30s, early 40s, right?
I can't. If he's only 25, I'm going to scream.
Well, he's the same age as, or a little bit older than Ren, who's late 30s. She's 30. We find out she's 38. So it said he's late 30s, early 40s, and he's hitting on this 21-year-old girl, and she's acting like he is the hottest thing to come to town, and he takes her and and he buys her a few drinks, and just the whole thing of him, oh, I'm not really listening to her because it's so boring and she's so stupid, and it's just like, you're right in his head, and it's just like, it was one of those points where I'm like, why are we reading this? Why do we need the play-by-play? He takes her to the abandoned amusement park. Basically, he gets her close to it, has to force her the rest of the way, and he starts hunting her. He beats up on her for a while, and then says, here are the rules. Don't make a noise. I was like, I have a paintball gun here. If I hit you twice, I use a real gun. If you make a noise, I use a real gun. You have to get to the road, which apparently it's a trap. And he knows that, I gave her the hint that if she goes to the road, she's like, why wouldn't she go to the road? She's trying to get away from you, and she's in this stupid amusement park.
I just looked that up. So the only thing that's abandoned that might fit the description is actually in North Adams, not Great Barrington. The Great Barrington Fairgrounds are there in Great Barrington, but it's mostly farm type buildings, whereas up in North Adams there's more. There used to be a thing called Fantasyland.
Okay, then.
And it was an indoor amusement center. Anyway, I don't know how you did this book, but for somebody who is very like rah girl power and whatnot, why is she writing women like this? And why is she writing men to be like this?
I don't think she really knows how men and women function in the real world.
I mean, I would care to say 90.
I think she doesn't know how to. She just doesn't know how to write, is what it is. She's got a story in her head. It's very amateurish and immature of how she's able to write, and I don't think there's anyone that's in her life that's able to say, Alaina, this isn't good. You could write better, but you have to learn how to write.
Oh, I'll say it. You can say it. Okay, so Ren's now in Massachusetts.
She's flying to Massachusetts to look up at this murder that we find out is in Salem.
That's nowhere. Okay.
And but first I want to finish telling you about this murder that we go into excruciating detail.
Please,
Because they make it sound like the murder she's going to go look at is this murder. You okay there?
No.
And so he shoots her with a paintball because, again, he's got his night vision. It's never really a challenge.
Oh, look, he's Buffalo Bill.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what it felt like at this point.
I'm dying.
And then he hits her twice with the paintballs, and the whole time he's like, "Why is she breathing so hard? I can hear her across the fairgrounds if I need to." And it's like, dude, you got night vision goggles on. You're reading her heat signature. and then he hits her twice, and she's trying to run towards the thing to the road because there's an opening there, and he pulls out a gun and pops her, and she shoots her in the leg. But something's weird, and he goes up to her, like, I tricked you again. I didn't use a real gun. This is just a BB gun. Ha ha ha. So she starts running again, limping because she's got a big welt on the back of her leg from a metal BB apparently. And he had a bunch of shig wire stretched across, and she ends up cutting herself up pretty bad.
Yikes.
And getting tangled up in it. And basically he watches her bleed out. So we get to Ren with her husband Richard into Boston, and we get a whole exposition on Logan Airport and how terrifying it is getting out of there.
I mean, that could probably save someone's life right there.
Yeah, and again, she's now writing an area that she knows.
Hey, Tom.
Anyway, so they get to Salem, and we meet Corn for the first time, I think, ever, even though we act like we had some sort of connection. And again, we don't know how they know each other. Because, again, remember, Ren, from Louisiana, went to school in Louisiana, got kidnapped by the guy who lives in New Orleans. And supposedly her and Corn went to college together? And then Corn goes all the way back to Massachusetts?
I mean, that's not too far of a stretch.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so either she's going to Louisiana for school and coming back to Massachusetts, or she's, going, again, she's a medical examiner.
Yeah.
So you're telling me Massachusetts, the hub of basically the United States for medical schools, is going to be hiring someone from Louisiana?
Is it the hub? I mean, Johns Hopkins is in Maryland. Anyway, but I know somebody who from South Dakota went to Vanderbilt, went back to South Dakota, and now is somewhere in Texas. So, I mean, it's not impossible. We'll give her this one.
Okay.
I'll let this one slide.
Okay. Anyways, so we look at the Ren does a full examination of this girl that got murdered, and outside her jurisdiction. Act of crime, bringing a random person from another state. That granted, she, her field.
Sorry, the neighbors are being creepy across the street, and it looks like somebody was a lot closer than that over there. Anyway, okay. Someone was going to examine me.
So we get, we find out basically this girl was not a Jeremy Rose victim, but we learn that, and Ren basically says, pulls a FBI who's a what's it, saying this is who you're looking for. It's going to be a white male between this and this age and they're going to be close to the victim, and gives a whole psychobabble about that. Kind of roll your eyes like, okay, Then we find out that, she had a secret boyfriend named Phil.
Oh, look, Phil's home.
Which, granted, this is Salem, and Philip lives in Great Barrington, which, I mean, not the impossible to be doing, but just like, and Phil, as I said, remember, is a preacher and family man with a wandering eye, but no hint of violence, other than Jeremy having something over him. So LaRoe calls up, who was supposed to be flying out later, and says, hey, I just got word of this double homicide in Great Barrington. I'm coming out there. We got to go check that out. And kind of jumping ahead here, apparently no one told the Great Barrington police that they were coming out there to investigate their murders for him. And LaRoe and Ren are really angry when they try to blackball these two randos that come out of Louisiana saying, we know who the killer is. It's this guy. We do find out that the symbol that Jeremy carved into that girl's wrist was apparently the same stone in Ren's bracelet that she had from her mother, her arm bracelet. Of course, it sounds like it's just a standard cut stone, not a actual charm. And so it's like, it looks like a diamond. And they're like,
shine bright like a diamond.
Yeah, it's like you said, like diamond shaped, and they're like that. Okay. That could mean anything here, people.
So first, again, from the Midwest, and even I knew that people from New England, in particular, were notoriously assholes. So why is it that these people from Louisiana are suddenly offended? Everybody knows this.
Well, so here's the thing. So we got a double homicide. We don't know about girl number 2 yet, but they know she's missing pretty quickly. But because again, a lot of money, and 21-year-old blonde girl goes missing. That gets noticed, especially when she's apparently really popular, where she's got like 8 friends that were with her that night and said, yeah, she went over to this guy at the bar because he was buying her drinks, and then they left together. That should be sending off alarm bells there. But anyway, so I don't know what the population of Great Barrington is, but I gotta assume it's relatively small. Like, you're talking 3,000 to 5,000 people probably, plus another double that for vacationers and people that just have extra homes there, or tourist kind of thing.
Probably it's an arts destination.
Yeah, but so it fluctuates, but it's not a huge town. It's maybe like for our New Hampshire peeps, Peterborough, a little bit smaller than Peterborough.
Probably be a little bit bigger.
A little bit bigger? Okay, so
I think
that's about 7,000 people, but so it's not going to be huge. They've never had a murder there, according to Alaina. So they got a double homicide. So you go to a town, do a double homicide, do some brutal things. Your police have your detectives you've never had a need of a detective to solve a murder. Who do you call?
Ghostbusters.
Let's try the Massachusetts State Troopers, who are definitely going to take over that case because they're like, hey, this is effed up, and you guys are ill-equipped to do this. You know who never gets mentioned once in this book?
The Stadies?
The Stadies. It's like you think they'd be involved somehow in this.
For real.
And as soon as you get a serial killer crawling state lines, guess who also gets involved?
The FBI.
The FBI. Guess who never is mentioned once in this book?
I mean, you could have talked for pages about the Stady uniform and how it does the weird, like, wallop thing, but right before it goes down the boots.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It never mentioned. It wouldn't have been much, but, they're going to, at the very least, going to be all over that crime scene, whether the townies want them there or not.
Is the science of, like, the people's horrible deaths and whatnot?
Yeah, I think that's Elena's gig. I mean, she was a
yes, but I'm just saying she lives in this state. You would think that.
Oh yeah, and I mean, the Stadies in Massachusetts are kind of a big deal.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, they're kind of the ones that every town has their own town police, but they kind of are involved with every town in the state,
which is very weird for me. But that's a different podcast.
Well, so we get them going out there and getting blackballed, and Richard's just like, I'm on vacation here, hoping Ren solves this so then we can go back to our lives. So we jump back to Jeremy, who finally meets up with Philip, and we find out that Philip has actually secretly been divorced, and the ex-wife took the kid, and he's sleeping around with several different members of his congregation of younger women.
Of course. Ugh.
But he's just living the bachelor life. But Jeremy says, I know what you did last summer. Which is pretty much at this point where we're at.
I can't.
And we eventually learn that Philip drove drunk when they were both like 19 years old. They had snuck into a bar, but because Daddy's a big time judge in the area.
Please don't tell me that he hit someone and killed somebody.
Oh,
because that is the impetus of I know what you did last summer.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's where we're at. So apparently they both snuck into a bar. Bartender's serving them anyways, even though he knows they're not supposed to be there because Daddy's a big time lawyer, and if they go complain to Daddy, the cops are going to be all over the bar for even though they're shouldn't have, if they didn't serve the minors. So Jeremy convinces Philip to drive because Jeremy's supposed to drive, but he claims to be too drunk after he'd just been denied by this girl that's actually like 22 years old.
I can't.
She's walking down a dark street. Philip runs her over.
Oops.
She's still alive.
So he runs her over again?
No, Jeremy drags her into the woods and brutally tortures and kills her in front of Philip. And then convinces Philip that we had to do it because, your dad's a big-time judge, and, what happens if this got out? Your prospects of becoming anything in the future will be ruined. Now, remember, they're like 18, 19 years old at this point. Why he's still going to doing summers up in Western Massachusetts, when
it's cooler here than Louisiana.
But again, this was supposed to be like 8, 9 years old. They're going up together as family friends, and he's still doing it after schooling. Again, just I said that the plot holes just keep coming fast and furious, and so basically, Jeremy reminds Philip of this, and it's like vaguely not vaguely threatens to kill his son if he doesn't go along. And Philip's like, fine, I guess I'll do what you want me to do. And then Jeremy decides he's going to go hunt out another victim. He's hanging out supposedly at a beach house now, which I thought, it might be Philip's house, but then all of a sudden it's kind of not, and it's weird. And there's a party going on with a bunch of high schooler and college kids partying it up.
Stop, sir.
He walks in and finds a girl who's 19, 20 years old and starts flirting with her. Remember, 40-year-old man with a bunch of college kids and a few, high schoolers. Now, I know neither of us look like spring chickens, but how many 40-year-olds can fake being a 20-year-old or a 22-year-old? Because that's what Jeremy essentially does. He throws out a random name. The girl feeds him. Oh, you're so-and-so's old roommate. It's like how do you not realize this guy's twice your age?
I don't know. In college, you're like, okay, I'll try it once.
But they're making Alaina is making it sound like they're close in age, or at least Jeremy looks close in age.
Some people do. I don't know.
Yeah, Hollywood actors who have had a relatively easy life and a lot of makeup.
Well, let's look at Alex. Alex does not look as old as he is.
Would you think he's 22 or 24 years old?
He's not that baby-faced, but I would not necessarily think of him to be in his mid-30s.
I don't see how you're tricking a college kid saying, "Hey, I used to be your friend's roommate," who she knows.
College is wild.
So anyways, he takes her out onto a boat into the middle of the lake, which all of a sudden, so this party. The reason why he goes to this party is because it's so loud he can hear it like 2 houses over. So he steals this random boat in another house, takes this girl out to the middle of the lake where they're going to have this romantic time on the lake. Well, all of a sudden you can't hear the party anymore.
Ew.
But I mean, it's one of those things like, if it's that loud you can hear it through the woods, you should be able to hear it across the lake, right?
Make it stop. Or
so he throws her in the water and starts essentially kind of chasing after her with the boat, runs her over, bumps into her a couple times until she swims to a deserted section of land. And then he brutally kills her and then throws her body back in the water after cutting off a few bits throws a few bits and pieces into the water and then ties her to a tree. So this is the second body that is found because a bunch of boys a few days later are out skipping school fishing and they find the body parts, call the cops. Cops go out there, they find the body. They're apparently letting Ren and LaRue follow along out of the goodness of their hearts, even though they're completely blackballing them for anything in this case.
How did you read this? I am struggling here.
Oh, it was painful.
I want to bolt out of this chair.
Yeah, it's like I felt that the stuff with Jeremy was too much. So like we didn't have to have the blow by blow torture of every girl. It would have been enough to say, yeah, he went hunting, skip the violent parts. Yeah, here's him finishing up at the scene and walking away.
They're coming for my smut books, but these thrillers, man, they're like, yeah, baby.
Because they're torturing women. That's okay. So we get, then they start getting jumping forward here. They start getting anonymous phone calls. We learn about the missing girl in the park. And the whole time runs, it's Jeremy. And like the cops are like, you literally have no actual proof. There's no evidence that this is Jeremy. This is all, which they are technically right. There is no evidence that this is Jeremy other than we know it is because we're in his head every other chapter. Yeah, and it's not like his signatures are that unique that you could say, yeah, this is the same guy that was doing these murders in the bayou, because he changes up his method of killing. And that was the other thing. She knows because he was leaving the flower from her wedding, that from her bouquets around town in Great Barrington.
Does she get him?
Well, so.
Oh no, there's more.
There's more. There's more. We're only about 3/4 of the way through, and we got to have the big plot twist at the end.
I think I need to go to bed. I feel some diarrhea coming. My prostate needs examined.
So I said, it's Ren and LaRoe are going around, and she's now doing all the preliminary exams like for these other victims, because apparently they're just like, fine, whatever, do what you do. And so they're getting all these anonymous tips from a phone booth. Legit.
Okay.
And we know it's Philip because he's being forced to do it. Well, Jeremy says gros d'etat. He's gonna get Ren real good without actually, because he realizes it's a lot more fun her staying alive. He can kill her, torture her more slowly. So Ren gets a text from her husband. He found me. And then we get this big exposition about, in text form. And Ren's like, that's not him. Why would he do the, send me this? And so she's telling the cops, we need to go to my Airbnb and, go rescue my husband. He's captured. So the cops take her back to the station because they got an anonymous tip of, he's in the woods. Oh, and quick story. The girl that Philip ran over, Jeremy had dumped her body into a abandoned chimney from an old house randomly in the woods that they found.
So he murders her and then crawls up the roof.
No. It's just how like in New England we have all these random old houses that used to be there. Now it's like a single chimney standing in the woods randomly. Okay. It's a random chimney in the woods that he just happens to find when they drag this girl off, which, again, totally possible because it's New England and these things happen.
I hate my life right now.
And he had shoved the girl up there and then eventually had stolen Philip's ID card and put it with the body. So he's decided he's going to capture Richard and put him by this body so that Philip is going to get busted for this murder that was happened 20 years before. And we're told it's like 20 years between this murder and now. So again, in his late 30s, early 40s.
Them bones aren't hanging anymore.
I know.
Those bones are scattered.
So they get an anonymous tip. They know that Jeremy is either at the Airbnb, at Philip's house, or in the woods at this location. So the cops, again, without calling in other towns, calling in the Stadies, calling in the FBI. They now know it's Jeremy, are going to do 3 separate raids simultaneously.
No.
And I'm sitting there like, Greenfield, Massachusetts, which is the biggest town in Franklin County, doesn't have a police force big enough to run 3 raids simultaneously by themselves. Because think about it, you're going to do a raid, you have an armed and dangerous suspect who is a serial killer who has crossed half the country. You don't want to screw this up. So you're going to send 20 to 30 cops to each location, because if one cop gets hurt or killed, the amount of paperwork and the news media coverage on this is going to be such that you're never going to live this down. So you're going to do this by the book, right?
Springfield can do it.
Yes, an actual city.
I was trying to think of another actual city in Western Mass, and Springfield's kind of it. Maybe Worcester.
Well, I mean, you got Pittsfield.
Yeah, they can't do it either.
But it says that they're going to be the biggest town with the biggest population now, with probably the most cops, because they actually need those cops.
True.
and think about it, the amount of murders they deal with. They should have been the first ones you probably call. It's like, hey, Pittsfield, you deal with a lot of murders. Can you send a couple of your detectives over and help us out?
Dude, that I got a story, but it's not appropriate for this podcast. God dang it.
So anyways, so we get these 3 raids simultaneously. Ren's going to go to the Airbnb because that's where she thinks her husband's going to be. We jump over back to Jeremy, and he's forcing Philip to help him. And Philip is starting to get a strange look in his eye, like something's off with him. And Jeremy's like, well, I got him so wrapped around my pinky finger, he's gonna do whatever I say. And
I can't. I can't.
So they ambushed Richard, and but they muff it up, and Richard's fighting back because apparently he's also a black belt in jiu-jitsu or something, or karate, and so there's a big tussle. But Jeremy had tried to stab Richard with a heavy dose of some sort of drug.
But he got Philip instead.
Nope.
He got himself?
Nope. He drops it. And
So
Richard and Jeremy are fighting each other. Richard gets a little distance, so he's going to make a break for it. And Philip stabs him in the back with the needle and plunges. And they basically watched Philip. They gave him however much ketamine or whatever that he stops breathing and dies.
Richard dies?
Richard dies.
No.
Yeah, Alaina killed her own husband. So,
oh, man.
So we know that Richard's dead, even though it's like maybe it's a plot twist where they're just too inept and don't really, like the first one where
the plunger didn't go in all the way.
Or where Jeremy doesn't know how to kill people, even though he's spent a life killing people, and that's how Ren survived twice in his attacks. But no, Richard's dead. So they do the 3 raids. They hit the Airbnb. Nobody's there. They hit the place in the woods where the dead body is, and Richard's there, dead body's not.
Because it's been 20 years. The birds ate it.
Well, no, because we find out Philip had moved it.
Philip, you dumb son of a biscuit.
So we get to, and they go to Philip's house, and they find, and this was complete. They find Jeremy hiding in a subfloor with a supposedly poop dropping off on him, just randomly. Doesn't explain it, but basically just kind of that. I thought it was like, oh, maybe there's another dead body in the house and it's decomposing. No, it's just a leaky shit pipe. It's just so that Alaina. You remember how Alaina in the first book was just hated him so much and had to do some, to make him seem like an asshole and couldn't actually write a good serial killer. This is her last, like, fuck you, Jeremy. You're covered in human feces now as you're being dragged away. Well, they let Philip actually talk to him quietly because all the cops know Philip because he's the preacher, and his dad was a big time lawyer. And
the amount of sighs I've put into this podcast.
I know it's like Jocko.
Listening to him, or
like you listened to one podcast and you couldn't stand all the sighs he was doing.
Oh, did I listen?
Yeah, you made it like 10 minutes. You're like, this is like the 5th time he sighed. It's annoying.
And I'm out. I can't.
Anyways. And Philip says, of course I moved the body. You think I'm stupid? And then Jeremy realizes, oh, this guy's also a serial killer. But he's just being dragged away, doesn't say a word, doesn't want to say a word. Oh, and I forgot to mention that this bugged the shit out of me. So LaRoe is a big-time detective in New Orleans, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Doing a big case of hunting down a serial killer named Jeremy Rose, yeah?
Yes.
Apparently he's nationwide famous, and all the cops in Great Barrington know who he is and worked with his dad.
Well then.
And the only reason why he ever became a detective was because of who his dad was.
I can't.
And I'm like,
can we go back to Ren? How does Ren feel about Richard? Let's stick with
she's completely devastated. Typical, over the top, reaction of just, I heard screaming, then I realized it was me, and it's like, it's just your typical bad writing.
How cool would it have been if Philip was the one with the buckets behind that house? That would have been a story.
But again, that would have been in a couple states over.
So that's the smartest thing to do if you're a serial killer. Duh.
But yeah, so Ren and LaRoe eventually fly back to New Orleans, and they realize that, hey, something isn't adding up. We think Philip is the one that is actually Phil that killed that girl that Corin knows, or was investigating, and something doesn't seem right. And we gotta do something about it. And LaRoe says, well, the only people that Jeremy has on his okay to talk to list, because he's not talking to anybody, is his lawyers and one other person.
You.
He doesn't, they never say it, but Ren's like, hey, we got to go and find this out, and we got to investigate this. And the book ends.
It's like the Duck L'Orange. Duck L'Orange, it's you.
It's just says so. So that's the book. That was the book.
Why did you make me sit through this? It hurts.
Do you have any further questions?
My neck hurts more. I do. I don't know if I care anymore. Which setting do you think was supposed to be the scariest? And how does that compare to the quote-unquote scariest setting of the first book?
Well, I think the fairgrounds was supposed to be the scariest, which is also the where he set up a fake or a that body dump in the first one was in the fairgrounds in New Orleans. Remember that?
Yes.
So it was just the whole, that's his whole, look at what I'm doing, how smart I am, and to make sure she knows it's me. I think there's nothing really scary in this book. There's no mystery to it. It's just a boring thriller. There's no real thrill other than if you enjoyed the murder scenes in disgusting detail, because that's basically what the only thing that you're really given, because otherwise it's just a very boring book. Nothing happens. Ren is just bouncing from place to place.
So I went to ChatGPT.
Okay.
And I plugged in all of my thoughts about the first book and how I was going to do this and why I didn't want to do it. And I also asked, why do people like it? And am I just weird because I don't? And so they summed it up, after they give you their entire explanation, and it goes, you're just looking for different things than fans who are raving about it. Possibilities for your reaction. You probably notice shallow characterization, repetitive sentence structure, or forced emotional beats. I've been sitting here just dying because I'm like, please stop. Please stop. You've said the same thing about Jeremy or Ren numerous times because that's what they did like every other chapter. The killer felt derivative. Yes.
Yeah.
You do not enjoy trauma backstories that are heavy-handed or lack nuance. Like, dang. Yeah. What other questions did I have? So we know in the first book that he has rules, and he has rules again for the various games that he plays with all of his
rules that
toys.
he doesn't really follow. He just tells that to the people, and then he just immediately breaks them.
Which one do you think is the most realistic if someone were to actually play these types of games?
I think realistically, individually, they all work. I think like the setting up for the shig wire around the one entrance that she can get out of, even though it's not the same area they came in at, is kind of stupid. I think it's basically plot device for plot device. She needed some way to gruesomely kill this girl, and she's watched Saw one too many times, or all these other horror movies that are just torture films, and it's like what's a more gruesome way to kill this person than just another slicing their throat down to the bone or stabbing them in the spine and watching them suffocate. So I think that's just all that is. Is that all you got for the moment?
I can't. 92 minutes I will not get back, or however long.
Yeah, so my final thoughts was there were some improvements in the writing. As I said, there would be a handful of times where I'm reading, it's like, okay, this is actually flowing okay, as long as I'm not analyzing the actual adverbs and redundancies and all that stuff. But it actually had a flow. You could actually read it, and then she'd trip over her own feet and fall flat on her face. The book is garbage. The Ready Player One, I forget the author's name.
Isn't it like Scott Card or something?
No, that's
a different book.
That's a better author, but I think it's Ernest Cline is his name. So I was going into this, so I listened to the 372 Pages We'll Never Get Back, and their first book they did was Ready Player One, and then by Ernest Cline, and they tore it apart, even though it was a bestseller. So kind of like what we did with The Butcher and the Wren. And then they read his second book, his sophomore book, which is not Ready Player Two, but a book called Armada. And they said, well, let's see if he could improve or not. And it being so boring, almost a complete rewrite of Ready Player One, but with slightly different settings. Because instead of in a virtual world, they're in space. There's never any action. This is kind of like that. Just
that's how I feel about Dune.
Shush your mouth. You never even read the second one, did you?
I don't know. You handed me this big book with a black cover, and
so you didn't. I didn't hand you the second one because you hated the first one so
and
bad.
They were in a cave at one point.
But yeah, as I said, the narrative in this format was very wrong. It shouldn't have been first person present. she would have been better off in third person past tense or first person past tense or switching up between Jeremy and Ren. Really, she shouldn't have done another Jeremy story immediately after. She should have jumped to something else.
But apparently he's going to get a third one.
Well, now we're getting into the Hannibal Lecter Silence of the Lambs situation, I think.
Let's focus on Philip. Philip seems to be the actual...
Well, I think they're going to go after Philip, but they're going to use Jeremy in prison to feed them the answers. Like I said, this is going to be a Silence of the Lambs.
No, I can't.
Which... Just FYI, I am not going to be reading that book.
No,
I am
why
done.
not?
I am done with this author.
I think the expression is, "Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me." Like, we could have told you. Alex and I did tell you. We were like, "No, don't do it." And you're like, "It's gonna be fine."
I thought it'd be fun for all of us to read the second book and pick on it again, but no.
Nope. Alex and I were smart for once.
Yeah, and I think if it wasn't for her podcast being, I think it's like one of the top 10 podcasts in the country. So
it is.
Yeah, if it wasn't for that, her writing these books would be laughed out of any literary agency. Yeah, but they know that she's got hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of listeners every episode. So they're like, hey, you're gonna sell books whether they suck or not. Apparently, she just doesn't have an editor or a team of editors that are willing to tell it to her like it is. Like, no, you need to do a lot more work.
Is it that, or are the editors also so unfamiliar with anything?
Well, I think...
Like, where is this what is this published out of?
I don't know. It's a weird symbol.
Well, you gotta open it up then. You gotta go to the copyright page.
But again, it's one of those things that a half-decent editor is going to be able to...
Figure
this out. They're going to have... whether you're using a line editor or a concepts editor or your actual, the editor that the publishing company gives you, that there should be someone in there that's saying, hey, this needs rewriting, even if they're just doing the writing, the changes for her, and then say, hey, we made your sentences a little bit better, read it over, we didn't change, and hey, by the way, you got 3 plot holes in this chapter alone. That's you need to go back to your old book and kind of sync them up a little bit better. Paramortem LLC or Zando.
Oh, okay. Well,
ZandoProjects.com.
Kind of explains.
But so you go looking on Goodreads. The first book has over 100,000 ratings. This book has under 30,000. Grant, and it's only gone up a 1/4 of a star rating. So that tells you even the
diehards are like, no.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like, where are the editors? It said the first book made enough money that they should have been like, hey, we can, we're going to lose a bunch of people because the first book was kind of junk. But if we can get people word of mouth to say, hey, the second book actually got some editorial processes done, and it actually reads better, maybe we'll bring a lot of those people back because they're still mega fans of her podcast. So there's still money to be milked out of this.
I haven't listened to the podcast in so long.
I kind of stopped after the first book. I was like, I can't do this anymore.
I think there should, on a side note, but it kind of goes along with the editing. So I didn't realize the book I'm currently reading was set in Britain, and I saw the word curb, like the thing between the road and the sidewalk, and it was spelled Kerb, and I was like, oh, somebody fucked up. But then they started talking about a running kit, and I was like, oh, I'm not in America, am I? So maybe that's how they spell curb. But there for a while, I was like, this is not going to go well. This is going to be horrible. Who edited this thing? If I edit it, can I get a lot of money?
But yeah, so I think Alaina has reached her peak writing abilities. I don't think she has any care to learn or improve. I think all her friends and family are just kind of, oh, you're so amazing. She's surrounded herself by yes men kind of thing.
Do you think ChatGPT helped?
No, I think ChatGPT would have fixed a lot of these problems.
Damn.
I think ChatGPT would have helped with the adverbs, because it said the amount of times suddenly happened had to have been in the hundreds of times.
Control F, people.
Well, I don't have Control F here, so.
But no, when you're typing your story,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
You Control F. How many times does this word appear? Oh no, it looks like you have questions.
Oh, I it's more for me. These are the questions I normally ask Alex, but since I'm the only one that read it, I'm not going to ask myself these questions. Just seeing if there's any other top points I want to hit. Advice I'd give Alaina for her next novel.
Don't?
Take a writing class.
I like mine better.
Go to writing critique groups. Find better editors that are going to go through every level of your writing. Read more novels.
Go to
especially
Western
outside
Mass.
your normal genres. Learn more about your different histories, but abstain from needing to put it in the novels. So you know how like she'll give this whole exposition. Like there's a whole section here where she got her palm read or tarot. She did a tarot reading, and it was just like we're getting. Like, you can tell Alaina knows what she's talking about in tarot reading, but I could care less.
I read a really good book about tarot. It wasn't actually tarot. It was La Tierra, which is the same but different. Oh yeah, it's at school. Never mind. But yeah, it was really good. It was well written. The cards were pulled. It wasn't like super in depth. But
we had like a 10-page reading that was supposedly a quick reading, and it's just going in depth into the meaning of each card, and it's like I don't care. And in the end, it didn't really give you anything. It was just like this was just you wanted to put it in there because you wanted to talk about tarot reading because you can't. They talk about Buffy at one point. Because she just wanted to talk about Buffy.
Oh, yeah, because they also have that other podcast where they rewatch Buffy.
Yeah. But yeah, and then I was thinking, you know what she should do for her next novel? Hire a ghostwriter. just she's gonna make her money back because she's probably gonna sell another 20,000 novels, and really you're ahead of the game after 10. So hire the ghostwriter.
I bet she likes the Adam episodes of Buffy.
Season 4 is her favorite season.
That's the worst insult I can give anybody right now.
But yeah, Alaina, hire a ghostwriter. Is lay down what you're looking for and let them work their magic. There's a lot of good ghostwriters that you can buy for relatively inexpensive.
Get the guy who wrote Nikki Heat.
There you go. I mean, for how terrible those novels are, you can just. They're readable, right?
Yep.
I mean, I said there's a lot of novels out there that are not good, but you can read them. This book, it's almost unreadable, and I don't understand how people could argue otherwise. I mean,
because they wanted the fluff. They don't want.
But I mean, you read a lot of fluff books, and you read a lot of the. You've been reading, for your book club, a lot of smut books.
Oh my God, make it stop.
And you don't confuse the good writing with the bad writing.
No.
Like you can tell when a story is just very bad writing, and you're like, yeah, I'm reading this. It's fluff, but this is a terrible novel. Where there's other novels that are fluff, but they read well enough that I still got enjoyment out of that.
And my book club crew is wicked smart because we're all on the same page when the book is terribly written. It's like, oh, look at us. We're smart.
But it says so. So yeah. But that's The Butcher Game by Alaina Urquhart.
I don't feel pity for you that you read that. We told you not to.
Well,
I feel pity for me that I had to listen to it vicariously.
I think I did convince Alex to actually read it eventually.
Alex, no.
And he'll briefly mention it in a future podcast, hopefully.
No, Alex. Leave
because
me hanging.
I was guilting him pretty hard the other day before recording another podcast. So yeah. You have any final comments, Becky?
I'm not reading that book.
Why not?
No.
The crap you read sometimes, especially for your book club, this should be a pleasure.
Nope, give me basilisk dicks anytime compared to whatever's in that book. Give me the book that I just finished before this one, where it was sort of what is it? Is it Emma? No, it's not Emma. Oh my. Oh, biscuits. Jane Eyre. There, Jane Eyre-esque. But really, really bad. And they beautifully strung a harp using human intestines. And it was gorgeous. It was a gorgeous passage. I will stick to that instead of just this random torture. And it played. I don't know how well it played, but it said that played. Give me that.
Okay. So if you guys want to hear more of this, we put out episodes on the 5th and 20th of every month. The 5th is the book club read that Alex and I are going back and forth on. We're getting towards the end of season 2, so definitely check that out.
I will try to make their season 3 picks better, y'all.
I think
veto some of them.
Comment if you want Becky to join the club and have her pick her eight books that we have to read with her, and she can read all 16 of mine and Alex's.
I'm not. Sorry.
Make her a full-time member of this book club. Come on, fans. You know you want more, Becky.
I will be the green person from Inside Out. Disgust. I don't think so. No.
So if you wanna contact us, you can. We have an email, kindlebookworms@gmail.com. We're on Instagram. You can DM us there at kindlebookworms. We are on Facebook at Kindle Bookworms. We have a YouTube channel. No video, just audio, but that seems to be picking up in volume there. So thank you to all our YouTube listeners. I have a Medium and Substack where I write book reviews on books that we do not cover on this podcast. If I get any reads on Medium or any books that get over 100 reads, not just opens, but reads, I'm going to make Alex read that book, and we're going to do a bonus episode on that.
Alex,
we have one book. We have one book that's about halfway there already. So if you guys can figure out which one it is, and yeah, let's torture Alex some. The book that is halfway there is actually a really good book. So I think Alex would enjoy it.
Enough for this.
See, Alex has some books for sale: Paul Plimpton versus Ragnarok and The Destroyer. Those are on Amazon. The link will be in the description.
Don't forget Podbean.
Yeah, we are on Podbean. We thank them for taking all of our money so that we can get this podcast out to you and put it on all the different podcast apps that you guys listen to. What else do we got? Anything, Becky?
I don't know. Are you putting up a quiz this time?
No. My last quiz got taken down. I'm really annoyed. It was for Monster Calls. I put up a quiz of did this book make you cry? And apparently that went against their algorithm.
Well,
the
government does run Spotify now.
It was yes. Maybe you guys can comment. If you have read A Monster Calls, did that book make you cry? Yes, no, or I'm not crying, you're crying. Those were the 3 answers I had offered. So give us a comment for that episode on Spotify.
It's the onions.
So yeah, that's all we got for today.
Thank goodness.
Thanks for joining me, Becky, to
You're
bitch about
welcome.
this book. I do wish you had read it. I think you would have enjoyed it immensely,
No.
making fun of it.
No.
Okay. Well, this has been Bookworms.
Bye, worms.
Out.